Everyone has a story to tell. Welcome to Dingo Talk, where we explore the experiences that make us who we are. Here's your host, Carlo Guadagnino.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? Welcome to Dingo Talk. Actually, it's not Dingo Talk, it's Overtime. It's the only thing you're getting this week. I am Carlo Guadagnino. That's Serenity Brown. We're gonna run down our games of the week, our 10 games, and then obviously our game of the week. We were supposed to have a guest this week. It was a time issue on my behalf. Rhodes College. So Coach Duncan, we're going to get you on. And then when we rescheduled, I hurt myself at work a little bit. Just wasn't comfortable enough sitting like this for 30 to 45 minutes. So I asked him to move the show. Before we get anywhere, DB 16-4. I am 12-8. Serenity is also 12-8. Serenity went 7-3 last week. I went 6-4. DB for the second week in a row, 8-2. Really embarrassing me on my own show, both of you. It's poor form. I would appreciate a little bit of decorum.
Never.
I appreciate your candor. Let's jump in. Game 1, Rhodes and Shenandoah. Rhodes was supposed to be our guest of the week, so they're at the top of the board. They'll be there again in 2 weeks. Go ahead. Tell us about this game.
Oh, can't believe it. He's actually having me talk this week.
Sass.
Rhodes is 1-1. They started the season with a loss at Washington University
In St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. That was a 44-20 game. But week 2 came back with a win at Austin College with 49-13. Shenandoah is 1-0, with their week 1 being a 33-14 at Methodist. Their week 2 was a bye, so they should be fresh for next week.
Long season ahead of them, though.
Yep. Because you pointed out early bye week could pose a problem. Or not getting a rest week later on in the season. Or
could give them, maybe they got that rest week and now they kind of build on the momentum. They come into the game 1-0. How did we pick this? I haven't even looked yet. All right. DB and I took Rhodes.
I took Shenandoah.
And just so we're clear, once again, this would have been another week of picks that Serenity picked against the guest.
Yeah, at this point,
she's just going with
just expect it.
It's not going
really
well. I don't think. It's better than
really not. But at this point, I gotta stick with the bit.
I appreciate your consistency.
I have to stick with the bit.
I'm up, right?
Yeah.
Game 2, and if I pronounce this wrong, please, we'll have you on the show and you can correct me. Ripon.
I think it's Ripon.
Travels to friend of the show, former guest earlier this year, Illinois College. Ripon is 1-1 with a 41-22 loss at North Park and a week 2 win, 23-19. You were struggling. 23-19 over Grinnell. Illinois College also comes in 1-1. Week 1, they got a 46-21 win over Milken. And then week 2, they lost to Lake Forest 42-35. Last year in this game, it was Illinois College, 52-21 all the way. And I think the same way we went last week, or in the last pick, DB and I took Illinois College. You took Ripon. So that now moves us to game 3, which is Wabash and UW-Platteville.
Wabash is 2-0, with their first week being a 31-0 against St. Norbert. For week 2, it was 30-13 over Ohio Wesleyan. Which means they're outscoring their opponents by 31-13. So pretty significant. This one next as well. Platteville, UW Platteville, is 2-0 as well. Week 1 was their senior night, which is a little different than most.
I've noticed a lot of the Midwest schools,
I
and it
kinda
seems
like
to be
that
growing.
better.
This idea of the coach, the parents, everybody is in the good weather.
Yeah, they're not
smiling.
freezing.
Maybe you're squinting because the sun's in your face and not because it's 37 degrees below zero and you're getting hit with the wind chill. So I'm all for the senior day at the beginning.
But their senior night ended up, they got a 65-0 win, which is cool for them against Lakeland. Week 2 against Dubuque, 38-7, which means they're outscoring their opponents 103-7. So
a lot of offense. Either there's going to be a lot of offense this week, or it's going to be the defensive game of the year.
Or there's not going to be points on the board.
The three of us went with Platteville.
Yeah.
And that's a precursor right now until somebody really goes in there and knocks around one of these WEAC schools. They're just they're playing good football out there in Wisconsin. Game 4 is Teal at Geneva. Teal started the season 0-2 with a 58-0 loss to Carnegie Mellon, and then in week 2 a 58-7 loss to W&J. It's a young program. Not a young program, it's a young team. So, you're facing two really of the top of that PAC conference. And then Geneva, they didn't have any easier of a streak. 0-2, week 1 loss, 41-0, now number 9. Grove City at the time, I believe they were number 11. And then follow that up with a 41-7 loss to now number 17, Carnegie Mellon. Again, you're playing
benefit of the doubt, you are playing ranked teams.
You're playing ranked teams, you're playing the top of the conference.
Yeah.
This is a game, both teams, the way that they run their offenses, it's going to be a low I have a feeling it's going to be a low score. Last year, Geneva won 20-9. You guys took Geneva. I took Teal. Is that how that?
Yes, that is how that.
I took Teal. I like Teal. I want to see. I want to see Teal get to go home and ring the bell. Nothing against Coach DeMarco, but yeah, I like the idea of them getting to go home and ring a bell. That's cool to me. So I'm riding with Teal, Coach Bauman.
All right. So the next one we've got Rowan versus Ursinus. Rowan started out with week 1, 35-16 win at Stevenson. Then going into week 2, it was a 30-20 win against McDaniel, which puts them at 2-0. Ursinus is also 2-0. Week 1 at Alvernia.
Yeah, they're like the lady.
I don't know what you're talking about. 45-14. Week 2 against Keene was a 31-17 win. Last year when Rowan and Ursinus played this game, Ursinus won with 44-21.
And you also gotta remember now, this is a new Rowan team. They're led by a coach who he's an alumni. You're right. I have to put my input in. There seems to be, and I'm just basing this off of what I've seen in the last 2 weeks from Rowan. There seems to be, Coach Ruley seems to be on like a little bit of a revenge tour as an alumni. Now being at the head of that, I don't know that game is going to be lopsided the way that last year's appeared. I felt so strongly that I'm staying with Coach Ruley and the profs, I believe. Rowan.
And me and DB went with Ursinus.
Game 6, we go to our first ranked game of the week. Worcester at DePauw. That's number 21 DePauw. Worcester is 1-1 with a 56-13 win against Wilmington, and then a 27-23 loss to Olivet. While DePauw is 2-0, 57-14. They got a win over Rose Hallman, and then week 2 they blanked then ranked Barry. I believe Barry was number 25. Right in there. They were 23, 25. They were somewhere in that top 25 ranking going into the week 2. And to go into Barry and get the win the way that they did was very convincing, 33-0. You throw in the fact that DePauw won this game 53-7 last year. All of us are riding with the ranked DePauw team. Nothing against Worcester. Just another little tidbit. This game has been being played, or goes all the way back to 1975. So a little bit of, there's more to this than just a one-off on trying to fill a schedule. We've talked to a lot of coaches this year about how that, especially this week 3 where you need to fill a game, these games are a little bit harder to come by.
All right. Next we have Barry and number 10 Randolph-Macon. Barry is 1-1. So week 1 it was a 43-7 win against Huntingdon. But week 2 was a loss, 33-0. At number 25 DePauw. So next, number 10 Randolph-Macon is 2-0. Their week 1 was a 47-21 at Dickinson. Week 2, they had a win in overtime at
Hobart.
I wanted to make sure I was saying that right.
I didn't want you to go Game of Thrones and be screaming Hodor at the camera.
14-7 in overtime. So.
And you know, this is an interesting game. We all picked Randolph-Macon. There's some people out there that don't believe that Randolph-Macon is real. They don't think.
Real? I think they're real.
Not. I mean that in this that they're as a team that they're not. That eventually they're going to get exposed. The going to overtime with Hobart. A lot of people. There were a couple people on the internet. The interweb out there. A lot of great Division III content every Saturday for these games, but there are some people that aren't necessarily believing in Coach Pedro Arruza and Randolph-Macon, and I think that's a mistake. I don't think we should start questioning Randolph-Macon just yet. I think that football it's a 4-quarter game, and sometimes it goes a little longer. Yeah. So we're all rolling with Randolph-Macon. Next up, and I've been waiting to talk about this game. You know it. We were writing the notes up. I got excited. First and foremost, we have a friend of the show. He has been here since almost day one, if not, he might have. There might be a show before the show that he was a part of.
Who's part of the show before I was a part of the show?
Yeah, but there also might be a show before the show that he was a part of. He is from Texas, and his name is DB, and because he is embarrassing me on my own show by picking games better than me, I am going to point out that he made a statement that from now on, if there's a Wisconsin team, he's picking them. Specifically the team that we're going to talk about in this next one, Mary Hardin-Baylor at number 3, Wisconsin Whitewater. This is a team that DB has been faithful to since we started the picks. I think if we went back and looked, I don't think he's picked against them yet, and it's not changing this week. Mary Hardin-Baylor's 1-1. They had a 20-10 loss early to open the season at Bethel in Tennessee. Week 2, though, Mary Hardin-Baylor reminded everybody why they're Mary Hardin-Baylor. 85-6 win over Westgate Christian. Wisconsin Whitewater had a very impressive opening game against number 25 now John Carroll. 34-7, John Carroll went down, and man, what La Crosse looked good. Whitewater looked really good. Whitewater looks like they're a team that really is taking the Wartburg loss to heart. Then they follow that up with a win against Division II Roosevelt, 24-14. Last year, this game, 17-14, Wisconsin Whitewater won. A lot of talk about Mary Hardin Baylor. Is the collapse happening? They've kind of been.
That collapse is so dramatic.
Oh, I mean, you got to remember when we talk about sports, that's what you talk about. If teams up here, then and they lose a game, all of a sudden we panic. It's a collapse. It's over. I don't think anybody with the Crew is believing that it's over. I think that they are one of the best teams in the country. They schedule some of the best teams in the country. There are up years, there are down years. They're still. Again, as we pointed out, though, Mary Hardin Baylor they're a good program. We're all going with the number 3 team in the country. And I just want to point out, I don't know what it says about a guy from Texas not picking a Texas school. I am not from Texas, so I cannot say that he is maybe not being such a great Texan, but just saying. You're up.
All right, now we get into the juicy stuff, huh?
Yeah, this is your game. This is the game. You were real excited about this game.
Number 2 Cortland comes in with 2-0. Week 1 was a 76-0 win at Hilbert. Week 2, 70-7 win against Lycoming. So I'm going to go out there and say they kind of took it a little personal, not being number 1 after winning last year. So
and then the team that they beat being ranked above them in
yes.
every poll.
Yeah. So
so you're saying there may be some maybe Coach Fitzpatrick's using some internet bulletin board for those older kids, the old bulletin board material, huh?
They're against number 11 Susquehanna, who's also 2-0, with a week 1 win of 41-7 against Bridgewater. Week 2 was a 21-7 win against SUNY Brockport. And apparently, the last time these two played each other was the last time Cortland lost a football game.
It was September 16th of last year.
14-1. So we're just going to let that sink in with you guys.
14-1 was their record.
Oh.
It wasn't the final score.
You
didn't listen.
No.
You didn't listen. It's
I
okay.
Exactly as you said.
Everything was good up until you said that the score was not 14-1, because let me explain something to you. There's not 1 point in a football game unless somebody scores a touchdown and then they kick an extra point.
You would be right.
So, it's okay.
I wrote as you said, so you misspoke to me. Thank you very much.
She is not wrong. The last time that Cortland lost was September 16th of last year, in week 3, at home against Susquehanna. I'm not trying to add any bulletin board material for anybody. We took Cortland. Straight through, we took Cortland. And again, Coach Perk got a great program over there at Susquehanna. Could history repeat itself?
Maybe. Never know.
All right, game of the week. John Carroll at Mount Union. We will be in attendance. It's our first game as a show that we're traveling to. We're going to some tailgates. We're going to be down on the sideline. We'll be there. John Carroll, number 25, comes in 0-1. We talked about him a little earlier. Traveled to Wisconsin Whitewater in week 1, lost 34-7. Mount Union, different story. Mount Union is 1-0. They won 55-6 over Ferrum. The game that we are going to started being played in 1920. Mount Union won last year's game 49-14 and has won the last 7. We all took Mount Union. This is the last game from when I talked. If you go back to the interview with Coach Dart, and if you go back to the John Carroll interview, you get a sense, this isn't going to be a non-conference game that gets thrown on in week 1 or week 2 when they need to fill for a rivalry. So in all actuality, this is it. This is the last time we'll see this game unless these two teams find a way to meet in the playoffs, which with the new playoff system could happen.
Never know.
Makes the rivalry a little different. I think Mount looks to kind of put the stamp while John Carroll is going out the door, kind of see you later and have a good time in your new conference. And maybe John Carroll looks to go into Mount Union, knock off the number 4 Purple Raiders, and kind of roll the rest of their season through the OAC. This is what a lot of people believe could be the OAC championship. There's a couple other teams out there, I think, in the OAC that may give Mount or John Carroll a run for it, but these are the two top dogs for the last couple years. So, pretty excited. We're going to be using new mics this weekend, hopefully.
New equipment.
We got a stabilizer. We're going to be out and about. DB will maybe make an appearance on camera. Probably not.
Probably not. Don't expect it.
But you never know what's going to... I have no idea what to expect. I'm excited to get to Alliance, Ohio, and I guess the next time they'll see us will be when that video comes out, right?
Yeah, probably.
So we're hoping to have a good time. You got anything left?
I don't think so.
Nothing. Think real hard. I don't want to walk out this door and you go, I should have said this. Since you had one job and you didn't listen to me.
Again,
but
you
I misspoke. Because remember, folks, happy wife. We'll see you next week, Chuckleheads.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Dingo Talk. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. For more info and to contact the show, you can find us on Twitter @Dingo Talk.